Thanks very much for giving me this chance to introduce my research on mechanism of electrochemical reaction at the interface of lithium oxide battery in complex system. Yeah, uh, this is our talk outline. Firstly, I will introduce the significance and the challenges of lithium oxygen battery, uh, where uh, we were very familiar with the lithium ion battery. What is the lithium oxygen battery? You can see this cartoon picture. Why the lithium oxygen battery discharge? Yeah, the at the cathode, the oxygen will form the lithium peroxide, and during the charge, the lithium peroxide will form the lithium and oxygen. So this system has a very large theoretical energy density. Yeah, the energy density is about 3,600 watt-hour per kilogram. And if it has 20% efficiency, the practical energy density can reach 720 watt-hour per gram. So it is a very famous system for the energy storage and energy transfer. So in this system, lithium oxygen battery, it also has many challenges. So as to its anode, it has the lithium alloying with its anode. It has the dendrite growth, dead lithium accumulation, and low utilization, and very complex side reactions. So it also has the same with the lithium oxygen, the hydrogen and oxygen fuel cell. It has the air electrode. The air electrode of lithium oxygen battery has high overpotential and carbon instability, and the catalyst activity is very low, and it also should design the porous electrode. So we can see that the lithium air battery incorporate the practical properties and the research difficulties from lithium battery and hydrogen oxide fuel cells. So in the lithium oxygen battery, it has a difficult electrode reactions. So we can see this electrode reaction process of battery. It has scientific significance of lithium oxygen battery. So you can see this. There are three reaction type. The first one is interactions reactions. For example, we can see the lithium-ion battery and sodium-ion battery and nickel oxygen battery. In these battery systems, we can see the interactions materials. So the second reaction type is conversion reactions, and the third is electrocatalytical reactions. For example, this reaction is in the hydrogen oxygen fuel cell and the zinc air battery cathode. So in our topic, we focused on the lithium air batteries. In the cathode of this battery, it has complex electrocatalytic reactions. Yeah. So we can conclude that the challenges of lithium oxygen battery with a protocol electrolyte, it is the most complicated electrical chemistry model. So in this talk, we focused on these three challenges. The first is sluggish OER kinetics. The second is porous cathode blocking. The third is carbon closures. So the second, I will introduce the cathode reaction on the dry oxygen system. So the oxygen in the lithium oxygen battery, it is active materials at cathode. So during the research about lithium oxygen battery, we know that the ORR reaction of lithium oxygen battery, it has two models. The first model is over potential control mechanism. So if you use this model, the potential of reaction of lithium superoxide is formed. So if we can see the OER process of lithium oxygen battery under the dry pure oxygen atmosphere, the first step, it is the two electron process, the lithium superoxide absence process. Yeah, this mechanism. The second mechanism is that the lithium oxygen battery undergoes a multi-step process. The first step is one electron process under low potentials. Then the two electrons process under the high potentials. So these two mechanisms, which one is right, will be on the research. Yeah. So we can say the dry oxygen for the lithium oxygen battery is under research for a long time. Yeah. If we want to use this lithium oxygen battery for practical application, we should research the air compositions about the lithium oxygen battery. So we know the atmosphere, it contains many compositions, yeah, such as the nitrogen and oxygen and carbon oxide and the water. So the research for this topic, we will study the carbon oxide participated oxygen cathode mechanism. So the third, we will study the complex interface reaction in the carbon oxide. So the first challenge is how can we make carbon oxide reversibility, discharge and charge. The second problem is how to reduce the charge over potentials. So in the previous literatures, we found that the catalytic effect of Rossinier on reduction and evolution of oxygen. So we thought that the Rossinier maybe catalyze the carbon oxide reduction and evolution. Yeah. So we use this Rossinier catalysis to in the lithium carbon oxide batteries. So during the discharge process, we can see it has a discharging capacity of about 8,000 milliampere per gram. So if the catalyst has no Rossinier, it's only a small small charge capacities. So the further work is to quantification of the carbon formation is needed. So in the test of this Raman categorization, we can see the D band and the G band, and for the carbon form, So the carbon oxide is reduced to the carbon. So next we will use this GC mass to test what gas product for the discharge lithium carbon dioxide discharge. So this for this GC mass test, we can see at the very low potential, the battery will form this carbon dioxide, and at the higher potential, we can see the two products. The one is carbon dioxide, and the second is fragment, the 58, this one. So in this lithium carbon dioxide battery, it has two mechanisms. The one is at the very low potentials. The other is at the higher potentials. So we will study this mechanism between the low potential and the high potential. So first we focus on this high potential. So the problems transfer to a new problems is what does lithium carbonate decompose, which path? So we can conclude that there's three paths: the first, second, and the third. We use the isotope differential electrochemical mass spectrums. We can see these mass spectrums. We choose the third mechanism. The carbon dioxide, carbonate can decompose to the lithium ion and the carbon dioxide and the superoxide and electrons. The superoxide can form the oxygen and the electrons. The superoxide and react with the oxygen to decompose the electrolytes. Yeah. So we continue to test the superoxide annulus simulated GC mass. So we can see this GC mass picture. We can conclude that the G4 electrolyte is oxidized by the superoxide and oxide. So second, next we will research these low potentials. At low potentials, the reaction mechanism can described in these formulas. Yeah, this lithium carbonate can reverse to the lithium ion and the carbon oxide and superoxide. The carbon can react with the superoxide to form the carbon oxide and electrons. So the total reaction can describe in this formula. This formula can give us a signal is that the reaction is reversibility. So the key point is that this carbon electroclouded. So we will use another very important tools. It is the in situ Raman scatters. Yes, it is the in situ source. Yeah. With this in situ source, we can do experimental the catheter with Rossinier catalyst and no Rossinier catalyst. The catheter with Rossinier catalyst, it can during the charge, discharge and charge, we can see this G band peak. We can see this during discharge, it has no G band peaks, and during discharge, the G band peaks is enlarged, and during the charge process, the G band peak is vanished. So we can conclude that the carbon is electroclouded in the charging process. The Rossinier catalyst improve the reversibility of lithium carbon oxide system. So after researching the carbon oxide participated air electrode reaction, we will focus our research on the water participated air electrode reactions. So if the cathode with some water on the cathode surface, we use this cathode to assemble the lithium oxygen battery. We can see, okay, we can see this discharge and the charge curves. This picture is the lithium oxygen battery with carbon oxide with the water. Yeah, this picture can describe that the lithium oxygen battery with a cathode of super P. Super P is a common carbon, and it has no oxygen. So we can see that difference between these two pictures This picture, it has the about 3.2 watt during the charge curves. Yes, this maybe 3.2 watt. But this carbon is the activated graphene. It has a specific surface area of 2,870 meter squared per gram. Yes. Yeah. So there's a large proportions of low charging platforms leads to very higher energy storage efficiency. Yes. So the problem is that what leads these charge platforms. So this one. So if we do the discharge and charge curves and the ex situ characterization after discharge to this point, we take place the XRD characterization and the SEM. Yeah. So this one is this picture, and after discharge, the morphology of the catheter is this SEM pictures. Yeah. After this charge process to this half of the charge process, the catheter morphology is changed to this picture. So you can see some this coin shape product in this picture. After charge, at the end of the charge, the morphology is transferred to this shape. You can see this shape is very similar with the starting point. So we also can see the XRD results. Now, after discharge process, we can see that we can see from the XRD codes, we can see some compounds of this lithium hydroxide and lithium, this star signal is lithium peroxide in the production of at the end of discharge. So at the half of charge point, we can see this XRD curves that it has no lithium hydroxide. It's only have this lithium peroxide. Yeah, peroxide. So we also can do the in situ Raman test. You can see this after discharge, this point D. Yeah, is this curves, and this blue point is this curves, and at the end of charge, this curves. So we can see this in situ source test. This during discharge and the charge. You can see this lithium hydroxide is gradually forms and gradually vanish. So this lithium peroxide during the discharge process, it forms and gradually is vanished. So we can conclude that during the lithium oxide battery with the activated graphene with the oxygen, the lithium hydroxide and the lithium peroxide are generated in the discharge process. Lithium hydroxide disappears first with lithium carbonate forming in the charging process. So we also do the DEMS analysis of high specific surface area activated graphene. So this is the discharge and the charge codes. This picture is DEMS analysis. So we can conclude that the mechanism of this reaction system to some formulas. Yes, the first reaction is lithium hydroxide decomposes to form the lithium ion and oxygen and water. And the lithium peroxide can react with water to form lithium hydroxide and oxide gas. So the second step, the activated graphene can be oxidized to the carbon oxide. This second is here. Yeah. And at the third step, the lithium peroxide can decompose to the lithium ion and oxygen. Yes, it's third step here. And in the fourth step, the electrolyte can decompose to the carbon oxide. It's fourth step. So finally, we also researched some issues about where does the reactive water from form. One, the first, the water in electrolyte or water adsorbed on the surface of activated graphene. So we can discharge and charge of the cathode with this activated graphene. This the red color is discharge and charge. So we can see a very low charge platform at 3.2 watts. Yes, and if we use the dehumidified Ag is active graphene, Ag cathode. It has no this low potential water plate. Yes. So we can give the conclusion of our work. The first, the carbon oxide can discharge on the surface of carbon rosinia to generate carbon and lithium carbonate. The second, the charging process mechanism affected by the catalyst. The superoxide anion anodize the electrolyte on carbon surface and promote its decomposition. The rosinia particle promotes the charging process of superoxide anion and carbon to produce the carbon oxide. The third, high surface activity graphene can lock water molecules, lithium hydroxide and lithium peroxide formed during charging on the dry oxygen. Lithium hydroxide is oxidized first at low potential during charging. Yeah. Finally, the acknowledgement. We're acknowledging the Professor Hao Shenzhou and Professor Fu Jinli in some very famous university in China, and some financial support. Thank you very much.